Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Beth Strathman. Today I'm diving into something crucial for every team lead, middle manager, and executive. Understanding what makes your team stakeholders tick. Now you probably already know that your team stakeholders are important. After all, in the end, they decide whether your team's work product is a hit or a miss. But how often do you get to know what really drives them? To achieve real project success, not only must your team understand each stakeholder's history, where they're coming from, and what they care about, you must also understand what's driving them underneath all that, including their core values, their loyalties, and what they might lose if your team is successful. Discovering these core drivers isn't just good practice, it's critical for your team's success. Now, you may have heard an old African saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Understanding your team stakeholders' values, loyalties, and potential losses doesn't make your team's work easier or faster. But to go far, your team must understand and engage those impacted by your work, so you can make sure your team creates a lasting positive impact. With stakeholder engagement, going far starts with understanding and engaging stakeholders in a deeper and more meaningful way. Now, why is this important? Well, research shows that projects with strong stakeholder engagement have significantly higher success rates. One study found that firms that failed to align stakeholders on a key issue, for example, saw a 20% drop in project success rates. A successful project is more likely to happen when you engage stakeholders and understand their values, loyalties, and potential losses, because you've built stronger relationships with them and gained their buy-in and support. You might have also mitigated resistance and conflict and ultimately achieved better project outcomes. Now let's break down these 3 key drivers that influence a stakeholder's perspective. First, values. Like your team values, these are the principles that guide your stakeholders' decisions and actions. Think of them as their internal compass. Are they driven by innovation, stability, efficiency, or maybe social impact? Whatever their values are, understanding them helps your team frame its work in a way that resonates with that stakeholder. Next, their loyalties. This is where things get interesting. Who or what are they loyal to? That is, they will avoid going against this person, thing, or idea. Is it their department, their team, their company's long-term vision, their profitability, their traditions, their reputation, or something else? Identifying each stakeholder's loyalties helps your team anticipate potential roadblocks and build stronger alliances with each stakeholder and between stakeholders. And the third key driver, potential losses. This is maybe the most critical and often overlooked driver for improving stakeholder engagement. What does each stakeholder stand to lose if your team's work or project succeeds? It might be they could lose some power. They might have to give up resources, or they may even have to give up a sense of security. Whatever they stand to lose, recognizing their potential losses allows your team to address their concerns proactively. It also allows you to build more trust. So how can your team gather this information? Well, active listening is a great place to start. Schedule one-on-one meetings to ask open-ended questions, listen actively, and pay attention to both their verbal and non-verbal cues. Second, you can just observe. Observe how your stakeholders interact with your team and with others. What are their priorities in meetings? What do they emphasize in their communications with you? Third, you can also analyze your stakeholder network to understand the relationships between your various stakeholders. Who influences whom? Which ones are the key decision makers and which ones are more second or third tier? And finally, you can do surveys and gather feedback. While this is not always the most personal method, surveys can provide valuable insights, especially with larger groups of stakeholders. Now, a word of caution. Gathering this information isn't always easy. First, there are time constraints because these conversations take time and you need to prioritize them. Also, be aware of your own biases. Try to stay objective and open-minded. Further, sometimes these conversations are sensitive. Some stakeholders may be hesitant to share their true feelings, especially regarding what they stand to lose. And make sure you build trust and credibility and the safety necessary for open communication. And finally, there are ethical considerations. Be sure to respect confidentiality and use the information responsibly. Remember, this isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding and building genuine relationships. It's about communicating with empathy and integrity. So here's my challenge to you. Work with your team to reflect on each of your key stakeholders to find their core values, who or what they're loyal to, and what they stand to lose. Write it down and start building a plan to address these drivers for each one. So, leave a comment. What can your team do more of to understand its stakeholders? And if you found this information valuable, be sure to like this video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel for more leadership and team insights and strategies. If you're ready to take your leadership and your team to the next level, I'm here to help, so visit my website to learn more about how I work with leaders and teams, or to contact me for a free strategy session. Thanks for watching.